Hey guys, it's your boy Dope Snare here. Just thought I'd make a quick video. I went ahead and bought a Machine Micro MK3. I'm really enjoying it. First thoughts, pretty sexy. I think it's only 200 bucks in the States, but I live in Canada, so it cost me $380. But the build quality is good. It feels like it's worth the money in terms of build quality. The pads are great. Lots of functionality packed in this small controller. Doesn't have the big screens of the full-size machine, but it does have a small screen, which is actually useful. Pretty cool to see like your kick drum sample or the name of your beat or whatever displayed on the display. That's pretty neat. So anyways, the screen is almost an afterthought. It's like it's there and it's helpful and you could do some things on it, but you're using the computer like a 50-50 draw. It's like 50% of the time you're on here, 50% of the time you're on the computer, but it's cohesive experience. Doesn't bother me in the least. I've never used a machine in the past, so this is my first experience with machine and I'm fucking loving it. It's pretty sweet. I've had it for a day and a half. I've made some beats on it already. It was pretty easy to pick up, but there was a learning curve and I haven't mastered it yet. Still tons of features I haven't touched or figured out yet. The sampler's powerful. Once I figured out how to time stretch and chop and pitch your samples and everything, it was game on from there. I was making dope stuff. So last night I uncovered the chords and scales feature. I knew it had it because the buttons are there, it's obvious, but you go into the menu, which you could use on the screen. There's chord sets and scale sets and your minors and majors and diatonics and all the whole nine. It's all there. So once I unlocked that, like that was dope. Like I think coming from Reason has players to help you with your chords and stuff, and they're okay. I don't know if they're comparable. Maybe they have more knowledge or something. Like they pick the popular ones. Isn't a bad thing because I like to be unique and different and stuff. But I mean, nice to have things familiar to the ear. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? We'll ramble about that. Anyways, I whipped together this beat last night using the chords and scales feature, and it sounds fucking great. Like, and playing the pads instead of keyboard is a really nice change up. I decided when I bought this that I have an MK Mini, and I unhooked it. I was gonna have them both set up, and I'm like, no. I watched a video by Ultra West Productions, and it was just 10 tips for your groove box or whatever, and one of the tips was to use the pads for your melodies or whatever. So I took that advice and like, yeah, you come up with some good stuff on the pads. And it's expressive. I mean, it's not like, I never knew how to play keys in the first place. Like I'm very rudimentary on the keys. So playing the pads is like cool, pretty cool. And the chords and scales is cheat codes. It is what it is. Played with some of the stock effects. Those are cool. Like the interfaces are nothing special, but the sound is good. So I'm happy with the stock effects. I actually played around with some of the perform effects yesterday. Those are cool. Had some expressiveness to your beats. I'm assuming you could record that in as automation. I gotta figure that out. I still have much to learn. Getting my head around patterns and scenes and the arranger view and the ideas view, that was probably the hardest part of learning this thing so far. But I did manage to arrange a beat yesterday. Real simple arrangement just for learning purposes. I just had my verse and then my hook had another sound in it. But I managed to get the 16, the 8, the 6, the 8, flesh it out. I've only exported the master audio. I haven't exported the stems yet, but I'm looking forward to learning that so I can mix in Studio One. There's not as fully featured as the full-size machine, but there's still plenty of buttons, still a lot of hands-on control. With the software, you're good to go. You just bounce back and forth, which might be a pain in the ass to somebody that's like used to using an MPC or something, but no. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. It actually gets me away from the computer more than normal because with Reason I'm on the computer like 99% of the time. With this it's like 50-50. Yeah. So wish this thing was on so I could see the buttons lit up so I could read them and go through some of this stuff, but a well integrated system. You got your transport, and like when you're actually making the beat, you're not looking at the screen, looking at the pads, trying to get things on beat by ear. That's a nice change. As much as you use a computer, it does have a drum machine workflow. It's very hands-on. I don't know what else to say about this. I've only owned it for a day and a half, but I've made like 6 beats, and I'd say 4 of them are fucking dope as shit. So it didn't take too long to get to grips with it. So kudos to that. I don't know if I mentioned it does come with sounds, and what they give you is good, but I think it's kind of whack that if you want the full machine library, you have to pay extra. They give you a selection, give you essentials selection. If you want the full library, it's like $130 Canadian, which is, I think the factory library would come with the hardware, but it's a bit my only complaint really. Other than that, like, what they do give you is dope, and like, you know, the basic sounds are there. You need a bass, acoustic, electric, fucking synthesized, it's all there. It's like my most used sound, you know, other than my drums and my samples, is the bass. You want a piano or strings, it's there. There's not like 100 of them or anything, but there's enough to get you started and enough to get you going. It does have a basic library, and I haven't gone into it too deeply, but from what I've heard, quality, good. Final thoughts, like, it's fucking sweet. Like, I haven't had this much fun making beats for like moons, many moons. Like, I love Reason, my baby and everything, but I've been using it for over 10 years, and it started to get like way past repetitive, staring at the same screen every time you make a beat. You could always get creative and learn new things in Reason, which is why I love it, but for the most part, it was just getting so repetitive. Same shit every day. So this shook things up, which is why I bought it. I almost bought an MPC Studio Black, or an iPad actually. I made a poll on Twitter asking which one I should get, the MPC Studio or the iPad. And I got a lot of votes for the MPC, and I was like, my gut is telling me to get the machine. Not just because it's cheaper, it's because I've used an MPC in the past. I've had a 1000, had a 2500. And although they were cool and stuff, like, I felt they were like almost limited, like and slow and tedious. I'm not trying to knock the MPC or anything, but I mean, like, it does what it does good and everything, but like, I wanted to add a bass line. Good luck. Unless you have some sample bass tones, but I mean, you didn't load up a synth and load up a bass guitar patch or anything. Like, that always, it stops you in the tracks. At least it did me. There's ways around it and everything, but like, really, I just want to load up a patch and fucking play a bass, which I'm sure you could have done with the studio, but my gut's telling me the software on the MPC is not as good as the machine. So I needed good software. I didn't want, the guy's not known for software, at least they weren't for a long time until lately. So they're new to the game of software. Native Instruments been there since the beginning of VSTs and shit. So anyways, this has been long enough, I think. If you've never used a machine before and you're thinking about getting a machine, I think a micro would be good for you. It fit the bill perfect for me. I've never used a machine. I was tired of using Reason all the time. It shook things up enough. It gave me it's a little more of a challenge, so because I have to learn stuff all over again in a new way and stuff, and it really freshened things up. It was a good purchase. I'm fucking more than happy. Maybe after I master this and maybe make some money from music, think about getting the full-size machine or the machine studio or whatever comes next, but this is pimping. I'm happy with it. All right, that's pretty much it. I got a machine, fucking sweet, happy. I wouldn't write it off like I almost did, because it's the micro and it doesn't have all these screens. Doesn't mean it's trash. It's really good. I see some comments online saying it's useless. Wow, definitely far from useless. This thing's dope. All right, peace.